Hey there, marketers. You're listening to the Son of a Pitch podcast, where modern marketing strategy is broken down into clear, practical ideas you can actually use. I'm your host, Kenneth Spriestley. Starting today, we're talking about something that's near and dear to my heart. We're shifting into a new series focused on associations and the unique challenges they're facing when it comes to growth, engagement, and long-term relevance. And we're starting with the big one: why association membership has been stagnating nationwide. This episode is brought to you by Pitch Cloud, the creative studio, helping organizations communicate with clarity through strategy, video, and design. You can learn more at pitchcloudmanagement.com. Let's get into it. Across industries, many associations are seeing a similar pattern. Membership numbers are flat, slowly declining, or growing much slower than expected. At the same time, interest in the industry itself hasn't disappeared. People are still working in the field, learning new skills, attending events, engaging in conversations. So the question becomes, if the industry is still active, why isn't membership growing at the same pace? That gap is where the real issue lives. For a long time, there was a built-in assumption: if you worked in a profession, you joined the association connected to it. That assumption no longer holds. Today, professionals have more options than ever. They can learn through online platforms, network through social media, access resources independently, and build communities outside of traditional structures. Which means association membership is no longer automatic. It's a decision. And like any decision, it's evaluated. When membership becomes a decision, clarity becomes critical. People are asking, what do I actually get from this? How does this help me in a practical way? Is this worth the cost financially and in time? If the answers of those questions aren't immediately clear, people hesitate. Not because the association lacks value, but because the value isn't easy to understand. And when value isn't clear, it's difficult to prioritize. Another shift is happening at the same time. Membership used to feel like a professional obligation. Now it feels optional. That changes the dynamic completely. When something is optional, it has to compete. Not just with other associations, but with everything else competing for a person's time, attention, and money. Courses, communities, events, subscriptions, content. The association is now part of a much larger ecosystem. And in that ecosystem, clarity and relevance matter more than ever. There's also friction that often goes unnoticed. The process of joining isn't always the issue. It's the uncertainty before the decision. People aren't always sure if they're the right fit, if they'll actually use the benefits, or if the experience will match expectations. When those questions aren't addressed early, hesitation builds, and hesitation delays action. Here's a useful question for any association. If someone is considering membership today, can they quickly understand what this is, who it's for, why it matters right now? If that answer isn't immediate, growth becomes harder. Not because interest doesn't exist, but because clarity is missing. If there's one idea to leave with today, it's this: membership isn't declining because people don't care. It's declining because the decision is no longer automatic. And when decisions become optional, clarity becomes essential. That wraps up today's episode of Son of a Pitch. If this episode made you think differently about membership growth, share it with someone working inside an association or membership organization. Next week, we're talking about something just as important: the hidden reason people stop joining associations even when they're interested. For more strategy and creative support, visit pitchcloudmanagement.com. See you next week.